Have you ever tried so hard to support someone that they ended up telling you to back off? And you did not know why. Sometimes the harder we try to help, the more unexpected the outcome. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Reinvention Lab, where ambitious women transform loss into legacy. Hosted by Master Certified Life Coach and fellow trailblazer Sandy Linda, this is your space to discover how life's biggest challenges can ignite profound transformation, where grief becomes growth, setbacks become stepping stones, and your unique story lights the way for others. If you're ready to turn life's challenges into opportunities for leadership, legacy, and forward momentum, you're in the right place. Let's dive in.
Hello, creative humans and fellow trailblazers. Welcome to another exciting episode. That question I just asked, it happened to me. And the confusion I felt in that moment transformed how I understand leadership. You know that feeling when someone on your team opens up to you about something personal. Your heart wants to take over. You want to help, that you dive into their pain, thinking your loss experiences make you the perfect guide. I have been there. This is why I bring this topic to an often ignored issue on our show today: the dark side of empathy. If you are an ambitious women leader who face loss, you know empathy is your leadership superpower. It makes you approachable, understanding, and deeply connected to your team. But what happens when that superpower works against you, damaging the relationships you're trying to strengthen? If you caught my episode on principles, you'll remember how I talked about empathy as the foundation of your connection principle. We will leave you the episode number on the show notes. Today, I am flipping that coin over to examine what happens when empathy becomes your enemy. Sometimes the thing that makes us great leaders can break our team's trust in us. I will explore how being too empathetic can cloud judgment, damage relationships, and lead to burnout. I'll share the boundary setting techniques that transform my leadership after I learned this lesson the hard way. Let's dive in. Let me share a personal story. 3 years ago, I thought I was being the empathetic leader everyone talks about. A team member, Diane, shared with me that she was struggling with grief after losing her husband 3 years earlier. Now, here's where it gets complicated. I had just lived through what I call the trifecta effect, losing my parents and sister within 3 years. When Diane opened up, I felt I could understand her pain. I thought this shared experience made me the perfect person to help. So I did what felt natural. I offered guidance, shared insights from my grief journey, and tried to give her the support I wish I had. I thought I was being empathetic and building trust. Then Diane looked at me and said, "Don't try to mother me." I was taken off guard. Mothering her? I was just trying to help. That moment taught me a crucial lesson about the dark side of empathy that no leadership book had prepared me for. Here's what I learned the hard way. When we absorb other people's emotions and feel responsible for fixing their pain, we're not being empathetic, we're being intrusive. As transformational leaders who have experienced losses, we think our empathy makes us more approachable and understanding. It does to a point. But there's a fine line that once crossed leads to blurred professional boundaries. Let's look at this further. This fine line isn't always visible until we have crossed it. causing not just a glitch, but a significant disruptions in our leadership and teams. Here are the 3 danger zones where well-intentioned empathy can backfire, leading to unintended consequences. First, you start making decisions based on emotions rather than what's best for the business. Maybe you can't give constructive feedback to someone you have bonded with personally, or you struggle to delegate tasks because you're worried about their feelings. Second, you take on everyone's emotional load on top of your professional duties. This leads to burnout and make you less effective as a leader because you're drowning in feelings that are not yours. Third, and this is a big one, you can break the trust you're trying to build. When you try to fix someone's problems instead of holding space for them, you're sending the message that you think they can't handle their own life. Consider the marketing CEO who absorbs a client's business fears and makes cautious decisions that hurt growth. Or the healthcare leader who takes on patient trauma and becomes so emotionally exhausted they can't make clear medical decisions. Or the creative entrepreneur who gets so caught up in their team's personal dramas that they lose sight of deadlines and goals. My question to you is, how do you use your empathy as a superpower without destroying your leadership effectiveness? Before I continue, please leave a rating or comment on your podcast app if you are enjoying this episode or any other episodes. Your feedback helps other women's creatives and leaders find these insights. I love hearing how these ideas resonate with you. Every 5-star rating brings this message to someone who needs it. Now, let's get into our actionable items. Here is your empathy with boundaries. So after the Diane incident, I had to reframe what empathetic leadership looks like. True empathy isn't about jumping in the pool with a drowning person. It's about staying on solid ground to throw them a life preserver. I started journaling about improving my response to someone sharing a grief story. The answer wasn't to share less or care less. It's practicing what I call open, non-judgmental awareness. This means staying receptive to whatever someone shares without feeling the need to fix, judge, or relate their experience to your own. The new approach, instead of diving into advice-giving mode, I learned to ask better questions. I began with, I'm sorry for your loss. What support would be most helpful for you? Or do you need any special support from me as your leader? Here are the boundary setting techniques. Recognize early signs of crossing from healthy empathy to unhealthy absorption. Are you losing sleep over someone else's problems? Are you making unusual exceptions? Are you avoiding tough conversation due to someone's personal situation? Establish clear expectations around communication and availability. You can be supportive without being available 24/7 for personal crises needing professional help. Create objective criteria for decision making. When giving feedback or making tough choices, ask yourself, what would I do if I didn't know this person's backstory? Now for the professional versus personal balance. Suggesting someone seek specialized help, like trauma-informed therapy, isn't leaving them behind. It's recognizing the limits of workplace empathy can and should provide. The shift with Diane may have failed, but it transformed how I lead my entire team. Consider this. How often have you crossed the line from a supportive leader to someone who carries too much of others' emotional weight? Reflect on how these realizations transform your leadership approach. Now, here is the transformation leading with bounded empathy. When I step back from trying to fix everyone's problems and focused on creating a safe space for people to be heard, something amazing happened. My team started trusting me more, not less. A clear shift in the air happened. Conversation became more productive, interactions were more genuine, and the team dynamics improved. People don't want their bosses to be their therapists. They want a leader who can acknowledge their humanity while maintaining professional boundaries that make them feel secure at work. This shift taught me that leadership wasn't about having all the answers or bearing all the burdens. I failed with Diane, but I recovered by changing my approach with future team members who shared tough stories. Instead of jumping in the pool with fellow grievers, I learned to be an active listener who stays on the shore. This wasn't an overnight transformation, but a continuous learning journey I practice every day. Your leadership evolution, it does not mean being cold or uncaring. It means understanding your job as a leader is to create conditions for professional progress and personal healing. It's about learning to navigate the balance between empathy and professionalism as you are continuously reshaping your role. And that is the dark side of empathy. We tackle challenging questions and difficult realities to understand what it means to lead with empathy. It's a delicate balance to maintain that heart connection while setting boundaries to safeguard our professional responsibilities and well-being. We learn that empathy isn't about carrying others' burdens for them or jumping in to fix every problem. It's about being a lighthouse, a fixed point of comfort, support, and guidance for those navigating through their storms. If you have felt an echo of your experiences in these stories, you're not alone. This challenge is shared by me and other leaders I had the pleasure working with. But together, we can learn to use empathy more effectively, building trust without sacrificing our well-being. If this resonated with you, share with another ambitious leader facing the same challenge. The real challenge starts with awareness. This week, I challenge you to reflect on your empathetic leadership. Conduct an empathy audit of your leadership. Consider a recent situation where a team member shared something personal with you. Did you jump into advice-giving mode, or did you ask what support they needed? Are you making different professional decisions for this person based on their personal situation? Are you losing sleep or emotional energy over problems that are not yours to solve? Have you suggested professional resources, or are you trying to be everything to everyone? Now, I want you to pick one relationship where you might be over-empathizing. Practice asking what would be most helpful for you right now, instead of offering quick solutions. Notice how it feels to hold space without fixing. Empathy is your superpower. But like all superpowers, It needs boundaries to be effective. When you learn to lead with bounded empathy, you don't become less caring. You become more powerful. Thank you so much for listening, everyone, and have a beautiful week. Bye.
Thanks for joining us on the Reinvention Lab. If today's episode inspired you, don't forget to follow and share it with someone who's ready to turn their challenges into opportunities. Want to take your journey to the next level? Visit sandylinda.com/program and apply for coaching today. Together, we'll turn your story into a legacy. Until next time, keep moving forward with purpose, passion, and power.